What's up, Cavs fans? Spencer German and Spencer Davies here with you as we reflect on a dominant performance from the Cavaliers tonight. Spence, 129-99. The Cavaliers take down the Los Angeles Lakers, and of course, a very famous player on the Lakers that used to once play here as well. I think you know his name, LeBron James. And in what honestly, after what LeBron said after the game, could be his last game here in Cleveland in the NBA, or at least as a member of the Lakers. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit, but I want to keep the focus, at least primarily here, on the team that we cover, which is the Cavaliers. And listen, like I was as impressed as I think I've been with this Cavaliers team tonight for specifically because, Spence, like, they're on this win streak. They get the bad news yesterday that Evan Mobley is going to be down for 1 to 3 weeks because he re-injured his calf that he hurt earlier this season. And we talked the other night about, like, early in the season they were finding ways to lose, and now they're finding ways to win. Tonight wasn't like a find a way to win game because they dominated, but for the guys and the supporting role players and all these different guys that we've talked about throughout the season, Jaylon Tyson, Nae'Qwan, for all those guys to step up to lift this team to a win when they're still shorthanded with 2 of their key players and still sort of trying to find themselves and get guys back healthy. Like this was one of the first times this season where I was like, okay, this is what good teams do. They find, like, they can still dismantle and the Lakers are a good team. Don't get me wrong. But they found a way to dismantle this Lakers team without, several key players and even somebody like Sam Merrill not playing a great game. And like, I think that was a statement in of itself.
Yeah, no, I think you're seeing the resiliency and the resolve building now.
Yeah,
for the last month, I think you can start to feel this team's mentality turning, and that's a big thing going forward, especially as we head towards the All-Star break. And that means that it's going to start to be that time where teams are going to start kicking it into gear and really trying to find themselves to get that playoff prep in. I feel like this is the moment and this is the point in time where you're seeing that start to turn for Cleveland. And it's kind of come and coincided with the rise of Jaylon Tyson. We knew this guy was doing the hustle plays. We knew he was playing defense earlier in the year. But now this dude's playing like an all-star. He's playing like an all-star in the sense of he's handling it now. He's able to create. He's able to play in the short roll with Donovan Mitchell. He's shooting the heck out of the ball. He has been all year, but at a higher volume now. You're seeing him attack. You're seeing him pick up defensively against guys like Luka Doncic and LeBron James and those caliber players. He's not afraid. He said it on ESPN today. He fears no man. And he's gotten 2 straight podium games with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan's been really raving over him the whole year, but Jaylon himself, man, he deserves a pat on the back. You know, he was named a rising star the other night. And his star is rising, to be completely honest, and running out of words because he's really stepped in. And, usually this team is way out of whack when they don't have Darius Garland or they don't have someone else to handle for Donovan Mitchell because teams are going to load up on Donovan. They're going to double him, and then someone else is going to have to do all of the creation and the assists and whatever. And Jaylon took that and ran with it tonight and did a great job whenever Donovan was doubled. Jaylon was able to find little crevices. He only had 1 turnover tonight to 6 assists. That's what I'm looking at because I know the last couple of weeks that's been something that's been kind of a bugaboo for JT is those miscues. And to see him even build on that against the Lakers, who, by the way, I know that they're not the most young team, I guess, but they got some good defenders on that squad. They got some good length. You look at a Marcus Smart, you look at a Jared Vanderbilt coming off the bench. I think that they've got some big guys, so that's not easy to go against. Even some of the efforts and guys getting behind them, and we'll get into that when we get into the game. But just talking from Jaylon Tyson's IQ and his reads, it's been off the charts. And this last week, man, couldn't be happier for him because this team's rise is, like I said, going with Jaylon Tyson's improvement.
Yeah, I'll admit, like, coming into tonight, I kind of felt like it might be just like a scheduled loss in a way. that happens sometimes, like on back-to-backs. You go into a game thinking your team's probably just going to lose because they are playing on the second night of a back-to-back. What are you going to do? And I kind of felt that way tonight because of the Evan news. I was like, somebody else who's not playing, what are you going to do? It might just be what it's going to be before they go on this road trip. But that's why I do remain so impressed because, they're on this little stretch right now, 5 in a row. They're starting to find their stride, it seems like. And for that to carry over without key guys in the lineup, I think is telling of where things are with this team. And you mentioned Jaylon, like a lot of it starts with him. He is like that energy guy. And you mentioned like missing a ball handler to help Don out. Like he was doing some of that. He was kind of playing the pseudo point guard role at times. He's just been so versatile. He's been so pivotal. It's been remarkable to watch him and his rise this season, and I hope that the sky's kind of the limit. And it's the thing that stinks about it, I'm sure for fans especially, is you see so much potential in him, and you're just like, man, if this team could finally get everybody healthy at the same time, and then Jaylon can just kind of fit into like one role. He doesn't have to do like everything because he's bouncing around doing all kinds of different stuff any given night because the lineups are changing so much. It'd be fun to just see like what his ceiling is, especially in a playoff series when that comes around. And they can just like either bring him off the bench or keep him in the starting lineup or whatever Kenny wants to do. So I'm excited. I'm as excited for that as anybody. But again, it's one of those things that like they got to get everybody back healthy first. And it seems like at every turn, there's another injury, and then there's another injury. I mean, the Evan thing popped up sort of out of nowhere, and like that wasn't even a conversation the other night, and now he's sidelined for a little bit here. So, and I will say, pregame, Kenny talked about it. He had a very long pause where I was like, oh no, like this sounds like really ominous. But he did say the first time around when he had this injury, he healed up pretty quickly, and so his optimistic spin on it all is, I'm hoping that that's just the case again. You kind of predicted, I kind of agree. Like, I don't think we probably see either him or Darius until after the All-Star break. Probably not Max either, which in some ways, like, yeah, it's a bummer. But at the same time, if they come back, and I know we keep saying if, and it's a big if at this point, like, that's kind of the right time you want them back. And then you have all of March to get yourself sorted out, and then you get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's how you're going to have to figure out the rotations. This would be a great time in late January and mid-February, whatever it is, for those young guys like Jaylon Tyson and Nae'Qwan Tomlin and Tyrese Proctor and Craig Porter Jr. to get these minutes, because if they need them in a pinch in the postseason, then you're going to go to them because they got those experiences. They're allowed to play through those mistakes. I'd like to pivot a little bit because Nae'Qwan Tomlin was fantastic tonight, and that was a question we asked him in the locker room postgame. It's just like, what does it mean to have a coaching staff that trusts you? Because Kenny was joking before the game. Remember that time he got 9 fouls in a summer league game in about 3 minutes, right? So Tomlin's working on his fouling. He's working on more discipline defensively. You look at some of the guys who've had troubles, turning the ball over, not being on the same page with somebody. Those are starting to rectify a little bit. But in Quan's case, I mean, the play of the game for me remains him stripping Luka Doncic at half court, going all the way down and slamming it. And mind you, we have to also remember this, and I think Don mentioned this in his press conference. This was a national television game against the Los Angeles Lakers. They have been doing this stuff all year long. Like, don't get me wrong.
There was people watching at home who were like, who the hell is Nae'Qwan Tomlin?
Right.
There's probably even some people watching saying, who the hell is Jaylon Tyson?
Correct. And this is why it's great to see them do this, because the playoffs are on national television.
Yeah.
Postseason's on national television. The bright lights are there. So it's a testament to the work that they put in, but it's also good to see them respond in that environment. And Don said it seems like every time there's a big moment, we don't have to worry. It's, that they're going to show up. And he said that's also going to be a bad thing for them, because if they get anything less from the young guys, he's going to be on their backs about that. So it's really good to see guys like Jaylon Tyson, we said earlier, Nae'Qwan Tomlin, the energy that he brings. I thought Craig Porter Jr. had a really good stint in the first quarter tonight. Played well, but I think he had a good stint. Tyrese Proctor even showed a little bit of something tonight against LA. These guys just continue to be the life of this team, and that's a great thing to see.
Yeah, no doubt about it. There's so many role players that we can kind of go through here, and we'll talk about a few others. I was just going to read off a few stats. Donovan Mitchell led the way with 25 points. He also had 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Yeah. Excuse me. Jaylon Tyson was next in line with 20 points. He had 6 assists and 6 rebounds. Rest of the starting lineup, 17 for Jared Allen. Dean Wade had 11. We'll talk about him in a second. Sam Merrill only had 4. He was back tonight. Didn't really need him much because of how bad they were just kind of controlling this game. They outscored the Lakers, by the way, 60-48 in the paint. And that kind of, I said it to you during the game, like the Lakers just had no answers for them when they drove to the rack, when they were doing some of this pick and roll stuff going towards the basket. There was nobody defending the rim, and it was clearly something that they highlighted and wanted to take advantage of.
But I will say this. It started off flip-flop.
Yeah, you're right.
The Lakers were up 16-6 in the paint. Somebody get this guy a lozenge.
This cold, man. The cough just lingers for weeks and weeks. It's the worst.
But anyhow, in the paint, it was 16-6, an advantage of the purple and gold. And I asked Kenny about that post-game. And he was like, yeah, they were getting everything at the rim. At halftime, we told them because there was a 94 percentile. They were in shot quality at the rim to start the game for the Lakers in the first half. At halftime, Kenny said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust. We're going to pack the paint because we were getting a little too wide on Luka's pick and rolls. They were leaking and sealing every time down on transition opportunities. So Kenny made the call. Coaching staff made the call. Let's pack the paint, make them beat us from the outside. And clearly it was a good gamble because the Cavs completely flipped that around. You look at a lot of the cutting that was done. Dean Wade, Jaylon Tyson, DeAndre Hunter, all of them doing some great jobs cutting. I thought was a really good job of a coaching staff recognizing that. And Kenny apologized too, or not apologized, but he took blame for not being ready for the Lakers using their size the way that they did in the first half. So that's another showing of accountability from the head coach that you want to see as well in a situation like this, an environment like this. So a good adjustment by them. 60-48, the advantage overall after being down 16-6 in the paint.
You mentioned Dean Wade. I think one of the things for Dean is like anytime he has a game where he just seems like he's locked in, he's confident, he's not afraid to take shots. I feel like he's at his best, and you saw that tonight. But it was also his effort on the defensive end. I mean, he was guarding different guys at different times. I think he was on LeBron a few times and Luka. And he was giving him a challenge, a test. Ridiculous. But yeah, Dean seems to play well when he's inserted into the starting lineup and when he has kind of these moments and he gets his chance to shine. And by necessity, he's been in the starting lineup because of injuries, obviously. And I think he's done a pretty good job these last several games. The other guy I want to bring up, though, too, is DeAndre Hunter. Comes back. He's in the lineup tonight after dealing with an injury of his own. He had 2 points going into the third quarter. And then from 3:25 on in the third quarter, he scored 11 points, ends up finishing the game with 19 points, and kind of just took over in that second half. It's been this ongoing thing with him where we're all trying to figure out what's gone wrong, because what he looked like tonight is the DeAndre Hunter that we felt like we saw last year, and that we thought was going to be such an important piece this year. We're waiting for that light bulb to come on and stay on. Tonight it came on, but now the question is will it stay on for him? And if it does, again, we've talked about it. The sky is absolutely the limit for him and for this team. If he can play his role well and be a productive scorer for them, it just needs to stay on. That's the big thing he's kind of waiting for. But it was encouraging, at least tonight, that he was aggressive. He wasn't afraid to take shots. Seemed like he found his jump shot again. He was knocking down threes. Will it carry over to the Phoenix game? We'll see. But I think it was a step in the right direction for him at the very least.
You start 0 for 5. You're looking at the heavens what else do I got to do, right? Because he's doing everything else well. He was rebounding the basketball. He made a couple of really nice plays. I love the pocket pass he had to Jared Allen there to start out the game when in his first stint. That was a really nice play. I think that he played really well, even when he had 0 for 5 from the field to start the half. That third quarter comes, and like you said, towards the end of it, that group was huge. It was just a lot of the young guys, but DeAndre was also there waiting in the wings. Had a 3 from the corner that got him going. Then he hit one from the right elbow. Then he had a nice cut to the basket, which was good. And I think that just kind of opened the floodgates for him. I think he scored that 11 points in 3 minutes. 4 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, like I said, it was 3:25.
It was a very quick stretch for him, but that's the thing about Dre. That he is a prolific scorer. That is what he does.
Yeah.
I think that there's a little bit and this is speculative, but I just think there's a little bit of not confusion, but a contradiction of role, because you're seeing Jaylon Tyson do all this stuff in the starting lineup and being the small forward that the Cavs have been looking for. And Dre, he didn't get demoted per se, but he's on the bench.
He got put in the second unit, but I think he also wanted that. Like
he wanted that.
He talked about how he mentioned at one point this season that like he sometimes feels like he's better off the bench.
Right.
And I think that was just Kenny's way of saying like maybe this would be a better spot for you to find that spark. So I don't think anybody looked at it as a demotion.
No, I don't think so either. But like I feel like the roles have not been as quite defined for him.
Yeah.
So that kind of puts you in a little tough spot. You want to be the sixth man off the bench, and he's absolutely capable of doing that because he did it in Atlanta for a couple of years. And last year he was on fire, came into Cleveland, was more on fire. Just hasn't been his shooting year this year. And, admittedly, that has affected his defense at times. If you look at the film, sometimes he's not getting back, he's jogging. But when he's locked in, though,
mentally, I'm sure it's tough.
Mentally, it is tough. I think phically a little bit, it can be tough as well when you have
nothing's working, and then it's like you got to try to hustle on the defensive end too. Well, it's a human thing.
It's a human thing, and then also I think what we don't take into effect too is that he has knee issues. He's had knee problems for the last few years now, and that also plays into not getting back because do I really want to exert all this energy and give myself a little bit more of a reason to sit the next game with knee soreness, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but Dre is not simply here just to score. He is here to be physical and to rebound, and I think that he has shown that physicality the last couple of weeks when he's been active. And I think that he's done a better job on the boards this year in general. And he was joking that he doesn't want to take any boards away from Jarrett because Jarrett will get mad. And Jarrett had 9 tonight, by the way, on the glass. But I think Dre is a lot better of a player than what he's shown. I think we all know that, and we know that he's capable. He's capable of giving you 30 actually any night because he can get going in an instant. But I think the reasoning behind him not playing as well, maybe as people would think, is because his role has been a little bit skewed or undefined.
That's a fair point. But you talk about like he can get going in an instant. You just hope those instances are going to come later this season or in the playoffs. The weirdest thing for me is like, and like it's like you alluded to, statistically speaking, like this is not normal for him. Like his numbers this year are down from any season he's had, except for maybe like his rookie year.
I think his rookie year, yeah.
And so this isn't like I almost said Jaylon Tyson. This isn't who DeAndre Hunter is. And so that's what's so weird about it. It just seems crazy because basketball's always ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and you go through slumps. Every player does. It's just weird that it's been this long for him because now we're talking, what, season started October 22nd?
It's season long.
It's been 3 months. It's been 3 months at this point, and you only got 2 months really left. And it's like, when is this going to click for him? You hope it comes because if it does, like again, I think the sky's the limit. He gives you so much versatility as like a wing player on this team. But
he had a nice stop on LeBron, by the way. LeBron had 6 turnovers, but he had one where he just slid his feet. And LeBron kind of tried to pull a crossover, didn't work, and it ended up being 2 points for the Cavs the other way.
Well, you mentioned LeBron. There's a reason we're standing in front of the championship trophy here, the Larry O'Brien. We strategically chose this because it was a pretty big night with LeBron in town, obviously. And anytime LeBron's in town, there's always, murmurs and whispers on the outside about like what the future holds and all these things.
Oh, really?
Spence, you mentioned like not his best performance.
Yeah.
Well, why? I mean, I said afterwards, like, this was easily his worst performance as a non-Cavalier in this building. I think that I have to go back and like for sure check that. But
it was a father time game.
You'd be hard.
He's playing well.
He has been playing well. If you pulled up like the game logs, and it was like he had 24, he had 17. This was just a rough night for him. He only had 11 points. He had the 6 turnovers you mentioned. He had 5 assists, 3 rebounds. He was basically on the bench with like 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter because the Lakers knew the game was over. Not a great game. And so from that standpoint, I think fans maybe didn't get exactly what they wanted. They probably wanted LeBron to have this like great game, especially because Spence, like, this could theoretically be his last game in this building that he ever plays. And I thought it was interesting. Like, he acknowledged that afterwards. He did not beat around the bush. He was asked, they do the little tribute video for him. That's happened 7 other times when he's come back as a member of the Lakers. But for some reason, this one had him crying a little bit. He pulled the jersey up over his eyes and wiped his tears. And so people wondered if that was like him sort of telling everybody, this is probably my last time here. He didn't go that far, but he did admit, like, I don't know, like it could be. Like, I haven't thought about the future. I'm in the last year of my contract here in LA, so we can talk more about like could he potentially come back? There's some romantic vibes around that whenever he's in town. We'll get to that in a second, but like just that part of it alone, I thought was interesting. That you're here in this building tonight realizing that it could truly be the end of an era of one of the greatest basketball players of all time that you and I grew up watching for sure. And that is a legend in this building and this city because of what he did. It makes me feel old. I'm sure he feels even older because he is older than me, but like it's just kind of crazy to think about that. It could have truly been the last time you see LeBron James put on a jersey, come out of the tunnel, play on that floor, and play basketball in any capacity as in this building against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, and you know that honestly, until you said it, like it doesn't really hit you until you realize, oh wow, that actually could be. There's actually a potential that this is the last time. I don't know if it is or if it is not.
Classic Spence riding the fence. I'm just kidding.
Classic me. But I mean, you said it. Like we grew up watching him, right? He was playing while we were like at the tail end of high school, and we were watching him in college. And then, I covered him as an opponent. I covered him when he was with the Miami Heat. I covered him when he was back for his second stint, and obviously in the 6-7 years that he's been with the Lakers. So it's a different vibe when he comes into town every time because everybody pays their respects. Yeah. Sometimes, like it's different. It's surreal. I love the way that Donovan put it. This is like, it's one of those things where, you have to understand that you have to take care of your business. You have to focus on your team and all that. But at the same time, you got to allow yourself to be a child. You got to allow yourself to enjoy.
That's a great quote.
Allow yourself to enjoy the moment. And, Kenny put it in perspective. He's like, who else has done this at 41? Kareem?
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Like, what's the list that has actually accomplished what he's accomplished? He's in his 23rd season. He's 41 years old. And there will never be another LeBron. There will never be another LeBron to do this. Like physically, you look at the frame, the body, the preparation, and we're not even getting to the fact that he's the all-time scoring leader in NBA history. We're not even getting to the fact that he's top 10, top 5, and pretty much everything in the league. It's been a blessing to be around him for a lot of the time that I was freshly a reporter. And now that, I'm getting up there at a ripe age of 33, it's odd to see him still going one, but also just to see him like towards the end of his career, if not the end of his career.
Well, I'll say this because I was a fan first.
Yeah.
LeBron is kind of the reason I even got to care about the NBA in the first place. Really? Like when I didn't watch a ton of NBA. It wasn't something like my dad watched because you kind of follow your dad's trends when it comes to sports and like things that you do. But then, I started hearing about LeBron when he was in high school. I wasn't even living in Northeast Ohio, but it's like you started hearing about this guy and they're comparing him to Jordan and all this stuff, and you kind of get swept up in it. Then he goes to Cleveland, which where I was living in Western New York was like one of the closest cities that even had an NBA team. And so I started watching him there. Then I came to school here when I was in college. It was like the tail end of his time with the Cavs the first time around. And so like you said, it's hard not to get swept up in it. And so he is the person I kind of attribute to making me care about the NBA, making me care about basketball, making me care about the Cavs at all. And so, yeah, tonight was interesting for me because I've seen LeBron in this building plenty of times as a fan. For whatever reason, the timing of when the Cavs played the Lakers the last 7 years, and really, I guess I've only been on the beat for 3 now. Yeah. I couldn't make it to the games because it was either during Brown season and I had other obligations or I just had family stuff going on. So this was really the first time where I was here covering a game when LeBron was here. And so that was pretty cool for me to be in there listening to him and
see the chalk talk.
Yeah. And
hear Ahmad say LeBron.
As a member of the media,
yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
And it did put in perspective when I see him there, sort of tearing up, and I hear him talking after the game about how he didn't know if this was his last time here. So he's just trying to kind of, his main quote and his main line kept being I'm just trying to live in the moment. And he said that for every road trip he goes on, but obviously, especially here where he has so many memories, including the one right behind us. So, it was certainly a special night for him. And it was certainly a special night for, Cavs fans and people who have felt like LeBron's been such a big part of their lives, us included. as just fans of basketball. So yeah, I thought that was cool from that perspective, and to hear him kind of talk about his future was interesting. And he truly said he doesn't know. Like, he's in his last year of his deal with the Lakers. It could be the end. It might not. He was asked about the farewell tour thing, and he was like, I haven't even had time to really think about that. But I go back and forth because I'm like, hey, listen, 23 seasons, he wore 23. Maybe this is the perfect way for him to end. He goes out sort of quietly. But I also like, it's LeBron James. Like, he wants a farewell tour. So I kind of waffle back and forth. And when you think about where he could end up next year, everyone keeps bringing up that Cleveland could be the place. There was a story today on ESPN about how Cleveland could be the place where he finishes his career. So I don't know how you feel about it, Spence, but it would probably require him coming and playing on not, a fully the contract that he's probably worth at his age. But because I don't know if the Cavs are going to trade everybody to get a 41-year-old LeBron James contractually, like the money that's associated with it. But yeah, man, it's an interesting situation, and I don't know. Maybe we see him in Cleveland one more time next year when he's as actually a member of the Cavaliers. We get to see him a bunch more times.
I've learned to say never. Let's just say that, because when I was a young, idiotic radio host at WZIP in Akron, I was like, what are we doing? What are we talking about?
You were ready to make hot takes back then?
Oh, I had some hot takes back then. Lukewarm takes. I was never someone to be like.
It's actually a good radio bit. It's just like lukewarm takes. Yeah. They're kind of hot, but they're not quite there.
Yeah, exactly. So I've learned to say never say never.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to stick with here. If he comes in free agency, it'd be a great story. That's what I'll leave it at. I don't know how you get there.
Be a good fit. I think you can make LeBron fit
anywhere. Right. LeBron can fit anywhere just because of his IQ. And he doesn't have to depend on his athleticism. He's strong as an ox. You don't have to think about that kind of stuff. It's more or less contractually, like you're saying, salary wise. It's that.
There's no way they would do a sign and trade thing where he signs with the Lakers for the Supermax, and then they trade a bunch of dudes to get LeBron to come. They would just never work. I don't think the Cavs are going to blow up their team that way for a guy who's going to retire at the end of probably that next season anyway.
I'll still say never to that, but I think highly unlikely.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have to be he hits free agency and just signs a mid-level exception or something here and plays. But listen,
one question.
Sure.
Because we're still on LeBron. First era LeBron. So 2003 to 2010.
Okay.
Favorite dunk.
Oh.
I give you mine. No one's going to take mine.
Probably the one. What's yours?
At Charlotte Bobcats.
That's a random one.
And he went Statue of Liberty on the baseline. And because of the camera angle, made it look like he was 10 feet above the rim. It was one of the.
That's a good one.
And the call that Michael Regai had on that was fantastic.
I have to think about this question a little bit more. Because I'm remembering a lot from the second era, and I'm also
second era. I got you on second era.
When you asked, go ahead.
Second era was dunking on. I cannot remember the center. It might have been Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah, I know.
Was it Nurkic?
I think it was Nurkic
because it was in Portland, and it was
nasty. It was nasty. Well, I also one of the first dunks that came to mind, and then I realized quickly it was when he was with the Heat, was the one over Jason Terry. That one's obviously sick. But that was a Miami dunk. We don't want a Miami dunk. So I'll have to think about the answer to that question a little bit more.
Me,
I'm sorry. You put me on the spot with that one. I was not prepared to answer that question. But I'll have an answer for you next time, I promise, which should be, when's the Phoenix game?
Friday.
Maybe Friday night. I'll have an answer for you. This feels like a good place to wrap.
No, we didn't say it. Cavs are going on a 5-game road trip.
That's true.
We got so wrapped up into LeBron that we didn't even talk about the Cavs there for the last 10 minutes. So Cavs going on a 5-game road trip.
Longest road trip of the season.
Starts in Phoenix, and then they play Portland. And I do not remember the other one, but I know they're in LA, but they're in LA for a long time. They're in LA for a few days. So
they are not back in this building until
might be Sacramento. Might be Sacramento.
I think you're right. They are not back in this building until February 11th, which is the last game before the All-Star break.
Giving us a much-needed break, by the way.
Yes. So and along those lines, it feels like the fitting spot to remind you to make sure you follow along at Cavs Roundtable, working on a story with quotes from LeBron about his future and what he kind of said about, if this is his last time in Cleveland. So LeBron is always Cavs adjacent in that way, so we'll have that up there for you. There's some other good stuff up there as well. And as always, we remind you to subscribe to this channel, the YouTube channel for Cavs Roundtable, where you can find all the post-game press conferences. We did put LeBron up there tonight. Kenny's up there. I know you have a few more.
Nae'Qwan Tomlin and DeAndre Hunter are in shorts, and
you're working on Donovan
Mitchell and Jaylon Tyson press conference will be up there after this show.
Okay, so you'll find all that, and we'll have you covered with more conversations, hopefully on Friday with that first game of the road trip in Phoenix, but also throughout the road trip as well. So make sure you follow along if you enjoy our content. We really, really appreciate you guys hanging out with us, staying up late with us nonetheless. We know sometimes these things get later and later. Tonight was just a big one with everything going on, obviously with LeBron here. So thanks for bearing with us. Make sure you keep on following along with all things Cleveland Cavaliers with Cavs Roundtable. Say goodbye to the Lario, everybody. Who knows?
That was smooth. That you were fumbling the left.
Who knows when we'll be back here in this spot again? Yeah. But we thought it was fitting for tonight. All right. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.